thirdly, here today, I want to remind you that God is trustworthy when it seems like you have stalled out. Now, under this point, I want to say that ministry looks different to all people in all places at all times. And something I had to be very careful of was putting God or even myself in a box, because we really can't compare ourselves to others. Our blessings, our successes, our seeming failures, even our talents. Blessings are often disguised as trials, and my circumstances won't be the same as yours, and therefore my directions, my answers, they won't either. But one thing is certain: God can be trusted with your life. Personally, one of my biggest concerns as a mother was that I felt like we needed a real church for my children, and by real church I mean the stick building. And I felt this all the more as our family began to grow, and we went from 2 children to 5 children during this time. And it didn't help when people would make comments like, I couldn't raise my children in those circumstances. And they would voice their concerns over how our children were being raised. And all I could do sometimes over those stalled out years was to remind myself that God's will was the safest place that I could be. And it was also the safest place that I could raise my children. And someone had given me some wise advice, and I really tried to practice it, to use the opportunity to bloom where I was planted. So it didn't matter if there were 14 of us or 40 of us. We never missed making the most of an Easter or Christmas program, special events, that kind of thing. We just treated it like we were a church of 100. Sometimes it might have been kind of silly, but that's what we did. And so we tried really hard, with God's help, to teach our children and our people that one person, one soul, while we were never going to be satisfied with only helping one would make the whole thing worth it. And in doing that, we hope to remind them that personally God would have come for them had they been the only one, the only soul to come for. So from the time that they were tiny, the children would put their pennies in the building fund, and their number one request at prayer time was that Jesus would help us get a church. And so we went on like that for several years, and we struggled to believe that we were having much of an impact on anyone. It was our heart's cry, really, to help someone. But we struggled over just how to do this. We didn't feel like we had the resources. And it seemed like we could get people interested, and then they would find out how far we were from, humanly having the finances to secure our own building and really have all of the resources that a real church had, and they would be led elsewhere. And now, please don't take that wrong. I do not resent that. If I had been in their place, I'm pretty sure I would have done the same thing. But God is trustworthy and was being faithful even when we felt like we were completely stalled out, and He was working. And that brings me to my 4th point.